Culture as we know it is changing yearly. Culture is blending and merging all the time, and geography is having less and less impact on which culture group you belong to. This is amazing and wonderful, as people who have felt alone and outcasts and minorities based on their tastes, preferences, and orientations now feel like they're part of a larger community. However, algorithms are not as benign as they appear, and the more oriented towards your own taste and views, the more they change them to target you with ads, and the more isolated and one-sided you get in your searches and online interactions. Social media like Facebook and search engines like Google want you to spend as much time on their site as they can, so they push more articles or posts they think you will like, and drown out comments from people you may not agree with or may be more likely to ignore. Also, they decide which of your friends you see more, and which ones you may have never unfollowed, but you completely forget were your friends, because you never see an equal amount of posting from everyone you follow. We also self-select people we agree with on social media, some based on offense, some based on time we have on the site, and who we feel is most relevant to our information needs. However, if you are oblivious and don't account for these algorithms, you can get trapped in an internet bubble cult. Below are 2 links pointing out tactics used by cult leaders. Often these bubble cults are not as extreme, except in the most extremist members, of which every group has a couple. Some evidence shows that there are engineered bubble cults, such as the AstroTurf groups of the alt-right and Bernie or Bust progressives by Russian backing, or climate change denialists, while some are organic, such as many conspiracy theory bubbles are. What they do are all very similar. They don't control your physical life the way actual cults work, but they can hold your cyber life hostage and make you a prisoner that is hard to get out of psychologically. An example is a Cracked article about the alt-right wing of the MRM, which I highly recommend reading in the below bar. First off, you never mean to join a cult. They know how to suck you in, and if you have some similar views, they can manipulate through foot-in-the-door mental tactics and repetition, so they get you to think a different way, and thanks to the bandwagon effect, you will remember it wrong and think you were convinced by logic and came to the conclusion yourself. They oversimplify the world around you, which makes it seem like it makes sense and sciencey. They use coded words like shillery or cuck in the case of alt-righters. Being a member of the group makes you feel special and often persecuted by the other side. The more purist they get, the more they isolate themselves from the people who disagree with them. In terms of politics, this becomes dangerous to their actual cause because numbers of votes, not purity of ideas, matter most. Questioning the purist norm in bubbles is attacked often and makes them feel like an outsider. Hostilities abound if you even question the norm or think about taking a different tactic. Their identity is attacked and threatened and punished by the group or members. Once all ties to the outside world have been cut, the member feels like his only family is the group and he has nowhere else to go. Tribalism takes over and the message gets spread more and more. While bubble cults can benefit from money from the members, what they want most is the spreading of misinformation from true believers, or in the case of Bernie or Busters, divide and conquer, and they get that in spades. The more bubbles created and the more people get connected to the internet, the worse it gets. We all have to be careful of bubble cults. If nothing more, the communication techniques used in your bubble may be useless to anyone outside the bubble, and may have the opposite effect intended, just through the science of communication and persuasion, even if your cause really is good. 5 years ago, I was full of hope as to what the internet could bring. Now I just fear it, much like the promise of the future of the 50s and flying cars replaced by the fear of nuclear annihilation. We may get there, but I'm out of ideas on what I can do, other than raise awareness and be as gracious to people in person as possible. But thanks to trolls and bubble cults, the internet doesn't seem to be where you can have a good discussion these days.